Alright, so let's spin around the back here, and I think I'm just going to get these pieces out of the way next. So let's just grab a leg. They're still grouped and they still have symmetry applied, so let's just ungroup them. So group, ungroup. And I think I'm going to start with this little washer down here in the crack. So we'll grab that and go in isolation mode, Alt Q. Let's trash the symmetry modifier for now. Hit Z. And I'm just going to hit F4 here. And you'll notice I actually forgot to put smoothing groups on this when we modeled it, so it still looks pretty rough on the chamfers. So if you want to, you can leave it. I don't think anybody's really going to notice it because it's so small, but I'll just quickly do that just to finish it off properly. So I'm just going to grab an edge, ring it, control click polygon, and just give it a group number, and I'm going to do that on each of the 4 chamfers. Alright, just like we did before when we were modeling. Alright, get this one down here. Alright, give that a number, and let's exit face. Okay, and you can see the difference here between this side and this side. We have nice, sharp, defined edges on our chamfers here, but on this side they look really soft and you almost can't even see it. So we have a conflict between the 2 smoothing groups here. So what I'm going to do is just hit F4, turn on my edges, go to edge, and just grab a vertical one here and ring it. Control click polygon just so I have those flat faces selected along the front. And we'll just go down to the smoothing groups rollout and just hit clear all. Okay, and what that's going to do is actually remove any smoothing groups that are assigned to those faces. So now if we turn off polygon, hit F4, it's back to normal and how we want it. Alright, so that's good. Let's put the unwrap on now, and we'll drop into edge. And this is pretty simple to map. I have those green seams again, it looks like, so I'm just going to turn off my map seams on the display. And there's a couple different ways we could do this. I think I'm just going to cut off the front and back, so let's just select an edge along the inner chamfer on each side, and we'll do the same with the outside. Okay, and loop, and we'll make those into seams, and we just need to split the inside and the bottom somewhere. So let's zoom in, just grab a random edge on the inside and control click one on the outside, and make seams. Okay, and we probably actually could have deleted some of these faces when we modeled it, because I don't think you can even see them, but I'm just going to leave them, and we'll just go to face and grab a poly on the inside of the hole, expand the selection. We'll just do a cylindrical map here. I'll do the same on the outside, so expand and just hit cylindrical and then turn it off. For the front and back we can just use planar maps, so just grab your selection, quick planar map it, and do the same with the back. Alright. And let's open up the material editor, just chuck the checker on, and open up our editor window. Turn off the background, and let's just pull this a little bit bigger. Move this over, and we'll turn on by element again. Just grab our chunks, move them out. Open up relax, put our amount up and our durations up. And face angles again, and we'll just do the front and back at the same time. So it relaxes down. And I'm just going to check and make sure I don't have any broken edges anywhere. It doesn't look like I do. So we'll just grab the next piece, which is the inside of the hole, and just relax that. And we'll do the same thing with the outside. Okay, and that's it. So we're not going to be able to stitch it completely back together, but I might try to put the front and back onto the side. So let's just scale our pieces again so they're uniform. And we'll just grab these, move them out of the way. And I'm just going to turn off by element, grab edge, and just find an edge on the outside strip. And you can see the corresponding one light up here blue, so I'm just going to stitch selected. Do the same thing down here, stitch selected. And again, that's just so we don't have so many pieces when we're trying to pack later on. We're going to have a ton, so we'll just move it like that, put it together in a group, and then just grab everything. I'm just going to do a uniform scale here just so it's not so massive. And we'll just drag and drop it somewhere, and that takes care of that piece. So let's close up the rollout, just take a look. And it looks pretty ugly, but I think it's going to be fine, so we'll just exit. Alright, let's select our piece again. And I'm just going to change my mesh color to blue, like we've been doing with the others. And now because we deleted the symmetry modifier on this piece when we started, we actually don't have one over here, and we're going to need it. So let's jump into the back view. Alright, zoom in down here. I'm just going to actually just shift drag a copy of this over. And we'll stick it in the crack here. So copy. Alright, let's zoom in and make sure we have a position where we want it. So I'm just going to move it over until it touches the side of this piece. And it looks like these ones might actually have to move out a little bit, but I'm going to leave those for now, and we'll just move on to the next washer right next to it here. So it's basically exactly the same, it's just a little bit thinner, so we can pretty much reuse this piece again. Alright, so I'm just going to shift drag another copy of it over on the X and line it up. Copy it. And let's drop into the edit poly. In the modifier stack here, it's going to give you a warning, just say hold yes. Select vertex, make sure you don't have back facing turned on. I'm just going to grab all the verts on this side and just pull them back. Alright, let's zoom in here so we can see what we're doing. Just going to line it up with the original one we had in there, like that. And we'll turn off vertex and just grab the piece that's not mapped and delete it. And that's the one with the symmetry still applied. So just trash that, and the mapping stretched here you can see because we changed the width. So let's just open up our editor window. And to fix that, we can just relax our pieces and it should adjust for that width change. Okay, so turn on by element, grab your two chunks, and we'll just open up relax. Same deal here, we'll just use face angles and just relax it a couple times. Okay, and close that up. And now that looks a bit better. Okay, so that takes care of that one. Let's just move a copy of it over to this side. So shift drag on the X again, and we'll just move it over and shove it into place. All right, maybe right there. Just want them touching. Okay, and we'll move on to the bolt. So I'm just going to grab the bolt here, go into isolation mode, and these all have symmetries applied, so I'm just going to trash it again to start. Hit Z, and I actually forgot to chamfer the edges on here, it looks like, so let's just do that quickly. So I'm just going to go along and select the corner edges. And this one. So just the 6 corners, and we want to have our chamfer continue down onto the front here, so I'm just going to hold Control, click the up arrow here next to loop, and then click the down arrow next to loop. And that's just going to add one more edge to our selection in both directions. Okay, and now we'll chamfer. And one should be fine, so we'll just say OK to that. And it did create some triangles here on the front, so if you want to, you can leave those. It's not really going to affect anything, but I think I might just clean it up a bit, so I'm going to go to vertex, turn on target weld. And we either could weld these down like this and go around. If we do that, we might start getting some overlapping edges, so I'm just going to undo it. And instead, I'm just going to weld it to one of the other points next to it. Okay, so we'll just weld it across. And this step's optional, you don't have to do this if you don't want to. It shouldn't affect anything if you don't. Alright, so just weld them to either one of the 2 points on the chamfer, and then we'll go around to the back, do the same thing. So just weld them up. Alright, that one to there, this one to here, and that one. And these 2 guys at the bottom. Alright, turn off target weld. And we'll start mapping it. So let's turn off vertex, put the unwrap on. And again, we'll drop into edge, and we can pretty much do this the same way we just did our washer. So I'm just going to cut off the front and back. So let's grab an edge, maybe right up here on both sides. And we'll do the same thing on the inside of the hole here. Alright, so just those 4 edge holding Control and loop. And we'll convert to seams. And again, we're going to need to split the inside somewhere. So let's just grab any edge, convert it to a seam, and on the outside I'm just going to split the corner, maybe down here, and we'll do it in the opposite corner up here at the top. So just grab one of these guys and just convert to a seam. Alright, back to face, we'll just grab it on the inside of the hole to start, expand it, we'll just do a cylindrical map here again. So turn it on and off, and for the front we can just use a planar map. So quick planar map that, and quick planar map the other side. And we'll grab one of the faces on the outside, expand it. For this, let's just use pelt. Alright, so pull it out, commit, and do the other piece down here on the other side. Alright, so really simple. That should be all we need to do, so let's put the checker on. Alright, move this over, get rid of that background checker pattern again so we can see a bit easier, and just turn on by element, and we'll just start pulling our pieces out again. Alright, there we go, and open up relax. I'll try to do this a little bit quicker because I know it's really repetitive. We're basically using the same technique on everything, so I'll try to speed it up a bit. Alright, so just relax down the front and back, grab the inside, relax that, and then we have the 2 pieces that make up the outside faces. So just relax both those, and we'll maybe see if we can stitch these back on. So let's go to edge, turn off by element, and I'm just going to grab 2 edges here on the center of one of these side chunks, and you can see the 2 edges light up over here. Actually, let's make sure we scale our pieces before we do that. Okay, so just do a scale on them, and then select two, and right click and stitch. Do the same thing over here. Stitch. And we have the outside, and we have the rest of the bottom strip, so let's just maybe stick that, I guess we can do it right up here on the top. So just grab that edge, stitch selected. Alright, put that there. And we'll just rotate this maybe counterclockwise and stick it right there. Okay, if you want to, you can grab this piece and just relax it again, but that should be good. Alright, so just scale that down and move it over and just close up the rollout. And that takes care of the bolt, so let's just exit isolation mode again. Change our color to blue, and we'll copy it over to the other side. So let's go into the back view again to make it a little easier to see, and we'll copy it over. And there is a couple different ways so you can do this. You don't have to necessarily just shift drag. I probably mentioned this when I was modeling it, but I'll just mention it again in case I didn't. Another way to be a little more precise when you're doing it is just center the pivot point on the piece you mapped. Alright, so just go into the hard tab, hit effect pivot only centered object, and then turn it off. And if you have move activated here, you can actually use the coordinate spinners down here. So I'm just going to shift drag this over on the X, copy it, and then select the one back here, the original. And these are actually the coordinates for the X axis right here. And because we're working right at the origin and our model's centered, if this is 141 on the X on this side, then we know this side over here needs to be negative 141 to be even. Okay, so what you can do is just copy this right out of here with Control C. Grab the piece you just made a copy of and just put negative and then paste the amount that we used off of this one and hit enter. Okay, and it's going to reverse it so it's completely even from the origin on either side. Okay, and I probably did mention this earlier, I can't remember if I did, but you know, it's a good technique if you need to be really precise. Alright, so we'll get the bolt in there, and let's maybe do the little screw head next. Alright, so just grab that and go to isolation mode. Same deal here, let's just trash our symmetry to start. Hit Z, and for this we can probably use a cylindrical map. Let's put the unwrap on. And it looks like I have a whole bunch of busted edges here. So we could put the UVMapping clear on to get rid of that. Just in case you don't have that, I'll let it break itself up, and I'll see if I can show you how to stitch it back together on something that's more complex like this. So we'll just ignore it and drop into edge. And I'm just going to cut the flat face off here with point-to-point seam, I think, to start. So we'll just turn that on and click around on a couple of these verts along this edge loop. Okay. And we're going to need to split it down the length. So let's just maybe grab an edge down here at the bottom. Do a loop on that. Okay, so it goes all the way down to the back. And then just convert that to a seam. And we'll see if we can do this in two chunks. Okay. So let's go to polygon and just grab the outer face. I'm just going to planar map that. And we'll just grab the next chunk here, expand the selection, and for this, let's just use a cylindrical map. Okay, so cylindrical map, you can hit fit if you want to, and then turn it off, and we'll go into the editor window. And we're probably going to have some busted verts here because of those weird seams, and we have a lot of detail on this piece. Okay, you can already see it right here. We have extra faces sticking out the side, and those actually go over here in these holes. Okay, so we'll just look at a way to get rid of that. Okay, so let's maybe zoom in here, and we'll see what's going on. I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so I'm on polygon here. I don't have element turned on, and I'm just going to grab all these faces here and right click and break them off. Okay, we'll move those out of the way for a second, and we'll go to vertex, and we'll see if we can fix this. So I'm just going to actually go up the entire side, grabbing all the verts along those broken seams, holding control right up to the top, and we'll just weld these. So you can use the weld button over here, or you can right click and weld selected. And again, like I was mentioning earlier, you just want to make sure you don't have any green borders anywhere but on the outside edge. Okay, so those are all welded, and now we have the problem of putting these back into place. Alright, and it's pretty easy. I'm just going to do one at a time, so I'm just going to grab a bunch of edges around that hole, and then just hold Alt and deselect anything that's not around the box shape, and then we'll stitch. Okay, put it back into place. Stitch, And do the same here. Okay, and this is definitely where the keyboard shortcuts can save you a ton of time. Normally I would have one set up for stitch. I like to use S for that, but I haven't set it up, so I'm just going to use the right click menu. But you know, it's not a bad idea to set those up if you want to save yourself some time. Alright, so just work your way down, doing each one. Alright, stitch those, stitch these. And I think if we tried to do all of them at the same time, it would have definitely caused us a problem, so that's why I'm doing them one at a time manually. Alright, so the faces are all stitched back in, but we have the broken verts again, so we're just going to do the same thing we did on that side. Just grab a vert selection all the way down the edge, and weld selected. Alright, let's zoom in there and make sure they're going to go. Alright, so let's see what's going on here. I'm just going to grab these edges here that are green and see where they match up. Alright, so we definitely have one there. Let's do them on this side and make sure these aren't all broken too. I think they are. Alright, so just come down the second edge loop as well. Like that, and then weld. There we go. Okay, so we had some broken ones on this loop as well. But that takes care of it. They're all black in the center now, so we have no problems. So what I'm going to do is just scale the pieces again. And then we'll stitch the little top cap onto the end up here. So I'm just going to grab an edge up on the green part. Make sure we get the green one. There we go. And right click and stitch. Alright, so it's all one piece now. We might get a little stretching over here. I'm just going to put the checker pattern on and check. And a little bit here, but it's not too bad. And that's just because we have the tapered face, like I mentioned earlier. If you want to bother, you can maybe just stretch this out a little bit. You could relax it. That would help a bit, but it's going to bend up a little bit. It'll start to twist if we do this, I think. Yeah, you can see it there. So it's going to kind of warp everything on our little threads there, so I'm just going to undo that. And I'm just going to do it manually. So let's go to vertex, turn off by element. I'm going to grab the whole top chunk here. So all the verts on the cap and these first couple chamfers, and just pull them up a little bit. Right, straight up if you can get it. Just to make those a little bit more square, and there's still some distortion there, but it's so small I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to leave it like that. Okay, so we'll grab our piece, just do a uniform scale here, take it down a bit, and just drop it somewhere. And close up the rollout. Take a quick look here, and that's fine. More than good enough for such a small piece. So we'll just grab it, change our color, and again we're going to need to copy it over to the other side. So I might just mirror it this time, so I'm just going to do a mirror on the x-axis, copy it, say OK, and we'll just push it over here. And again, if you want to be precise and you want to make sure they're even on both sides, you can just use the position of this one. So I'm going to do the same thing I did with the other piece. I'm just going to center the pivot on the original. Make sure you have move active, just copy this out. Grab this one, center the pivot on it. And we'll just do negative and paste the amount and hit enter. Okay, so now we know they're uniform and even. And one thing I didn't do when we model it was actually just give these some random rotation. They're exactly the same right now, which looks kind of phony. So let's just grab one of the bolts and just give it a random spin, just so it's not perfect and perfectly matched up with this one. Make it look a little more natural. And we'll just move on to the next piece, which is going to be this one right here. So I might do a save here quickly.